Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 9th, 2025 meeting of the Haverford Township Board of Commissioners. Before we begin, I'd like to make a note that the Board of Commissioners met in an executive session prior to this meeting to discuss a legal-related matter. We'll begin the meeting with a roll call. I'll ask our Township Manager, Dave Berman, to now please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondek.
Present.
Commissioner Forstey-Grupp.
Here.
Commissioner Cavender.
Here.
Commissioner Holmes.
Here.
Commissioner Quinn.
Here.
Commissioner Hart.
Here.
Commissioner McCullum.
Here.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Here.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Here. Thank you. I now ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by our Deputy Chief of Police, Joe Hagan.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll now begin with consideration of certification of our Civil Service Commission list for Deputy Chief of Police. I now invite a representative from the Civil Service Commission, Mr. Bernie McCabe, to the podium. Mr. McCabe.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Bernie McCabe, and I'm here tonight as the Administrator of the Haverford Township Civil Service Commission. I'm honored to present this list of candidates eligible for promotion to the Civil Service rank of Deputy Chief for certification. The interviews took place on April 21st and April 22nd, 2025, and the list was finalized on April 22nd. The promotion to Deputy Chief will take place at a later time this year, and for tonight's purposes, we're requesting that the list of eligible candidates be certified. Those names are Thomas Long, Craig Scott, Matthew DeSanctis, James Kelly, and Eugene Dolan.
I move to approve the list.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is now open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on this board? Hearing none, the board will now consider a vote to accept the list. Mr. Berman, can you please take the roll?
Commissioner Gondek.
Yes.
Commissioner Forstey-Grupp.
Yes.
Commissioner Cavender.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. We'll now move on to
I have one, I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
It is also my pleasure to present the names for promotion for one officer to the rank of sergeant. The list of eligible candidates was certified on April 8th, 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting. I'd like to present the following three names for consideration for the promotion to rank of sergeant: Ryan McGuire, Lawrence Howard, Kimberly Huganier.
Thank you. I'll now entertain a motion for nominations to promote one of our officers to the rank of sergeant.
I motion to promote Ryan McGuire to the position of sergeant.
And I'll second.
Motion and a second. Motion's now open for discussion. Any questions or comments from my colleagues on the board? Hearing none, we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Gondek.
Ryan McGuire.
Commissioner Forstey-Grupp.
Ryan McGuire.
Commissioner Cavender.
Ryan McGuire.
Commissioner Holmes.
Officer McGuire.
Commissioner Quinn.
Sergeant McGuire.
Commissioner Hart.
Ryan McGuire.
Commissioner McCullum.
Officer Ryan McGuire.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Ryan McGuire.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Ryan McGuire, congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Sergeant Ryan McGuire was hired by the Haverford Township Police Department in June of 2016. He came to us from the Alden Police Department. Ryan is a graduate of Penn State University. He's since been hired. Ryan has served in several positions within the police department as a field training officer, officer in charge, the honor guard, bike unit, first aid CPR instructor, and also as a fire investigator. He was previously assigned to temporary positions in Investigations Special Operations Unit. Ryan was named Officer of the Year in 2021 and also 2024. He's received 4 unit commendations and 1 life-saving commendation. He also serves as First Assistant Chief of the Radnor Fire Department. He's joined here tonight with his dad, Joe, who's a retired sergeant from Radnor Police Department, and his mom, Ginny, along with many family members. Mom and Dad, please come forward so we can pin the badge. And I'd just like to thank the board for their support in promoting Sergeant McGuire. He is a tremendous asset to the police department. We'd also like to thank the Civil Service Board for their support and their efforts in going in with all these testing procedures. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Congratulations, Sergeant McGuire.
Thank you.
We're just going to allow folks to clear the room if they'd like to at this time. It'll take about 30 seconds. We'll not stop the recording, though.
Well, I might be second. Like, so, it's all right.
Great, thank you all for your patience. We'll now move on to agenda item number 2 to hear a presentation of a proclamation recognizing June as Pride Month in Haverford Township, read by Commissioner Holmes.
Thank you, Madam President. Proclamation recognizing June as Pride Month. Whereas Haverford Township cherishes the value and dignity of each person and appreciates the importance of equality and freedom, and whereas all people are welcome in Haverford Township to live, work, and play, and whereas every family in whatever configuration deserves a place to call home and to feel safe, happy, and supported by friends and neighbors, and whereas Haverford Township denounces invidious prejudice and discrimination based on age, sex, gender identity, gender expression, race, color, religion, marital status, national origin, sexual orientation, or physical attributes as an affront to Haverford's fundamental principles. And whereas the Haverford Township Board of Commissioners established an anti-discrimination policy, Ordinance 2626, Chapter 183, in February of 2011 to ensure that all persons, regardless of a person's sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression enjoy the full benefits of citizenship and are afforded equal opportunities for employment, housing, commercial property, and the use of public accommodations. And whereas in January of 2012, the board appointed a 7-member Human Relations Commission to promote equality and to enforce the anti-discrimination policy for the township. And whereas Haverford Township appreciates the cultural, civic, and economic contributions of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer communities who strengthen our social welfare. And whereas it is imperative that young people in Haverford Township, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression, feel valued, safe, empowered, and supported by their peers and community leaders. And whereas, despite being marginalized, LGBTQ+ people continue to celebrate authenticity, acceptance, and love. Whereas Pride Month began in June of 1970, on the 1-year anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising in New York City, after LGBTQ+ and allied friends rose up and fought against harassment and discrimination at the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village. And whereas from the Stonewall riots sprouted the rainbow flag, also known as the LGBTQ+ pride flag, that serves as a symbol of hope and inclusion to the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer plus people and the social movement. And whereas flying the pride flag throughout the month of June celebrates and affirms diversity, equity, and inclusion. And whereas in June of 2022, the Board of Commissioners proclaimed the month of June as LGBTQ+ Pride Month, and immediately thereafter, Haverford Township raised the pride flag for the first time in township history. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Haverford Township Board of Commissioners recognizes the month of June as LGBTQ+ Pride Month in Haverford, urges our residents to recognize the contributions made by the members of the LGBTQ+ community, and promotes the principles of equality, liberty, and justice to promote a healthy, safe, and prosperous community for all. And be it further proclaimed that as a message to our residents, as well as all people everywhere, that Haverford Township still stands as a beacon of equal opportunity for employment, housing, commercial property, and the use of public accommodations. Haverford will proudly fly the pride flag throughout the month of June and commit to continuing the tradition of flying the pride flag each June hereafter. Proclaimed this 9th day of June, 2025.
Thank you, Commissioner Holmes. We will now move on to a presentation of a proclamation recognizing Juneteenth, read by Commissioner Quinn.
Before I read this, I just want to have you guys just bear with me. As I say every time I read these things, you guys should be thankful. The first time I read this, it was 4 pages long, but now it's only a page, so we'll get through it. I'll through it fast. So, whereas on January 1st, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation declaring all enslaved people in the Confederate States to be forever free. Nevertheless, slavery persisted for another 2.5 years in some states. Whereas celebrated annually on June 19th, Juneteenth commemorates the day of June 19th, 1865, when Union Army Major General Gordon Granger read General Order Number 3, announcing to the people of Galveston, Texas, that all enslaved African Americans were free. And whereas Juneteenth, also known as Emancipation Day or National Freedom Day, is celebrated as the day that slavery ended in the United States. And whereas Juneteenth was first recognized as a state holiday in Texas in 1980. In 19th, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf joined Texas and other states in recognizing the holiday by signing legislation designating June 19th as Juneteenth National Freedom Day in the Commonwealth. And whereas in 2021, Juneteenth was declared a federal holiday when President Joe Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into law with bipartisan support. And whereas since 2021, the township of Haverford has recognized and observed Juneteenth National Freedom Day. And whereas residents in the township of Haverford are encouraged to join the nation in honoring Juneteenth by acknowledging the contributions made by African Americans to our country, and celebrating the resilience of African American people in overcoming their history of enslavement and their continued fight against systemic racism. Now, therefore, be proclaimed the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Haverford, Delaware County, hereby recognizes June 19th as Juneteenth National Freedom Day, and celebrates the culture and achievements of African Americans in spite of a history of struggle and oppression, and recommits to the work of fighting systemic racism to ensure progress in our community and prosperity for all. Proclaim this 9th day of June.
Well done, Commissioner Quinn. We will now open the citizens forum portion of our meeting. Each speaker will be given approximately 3 minutes, and yes, we'll be keeping a timer to share their remarks. We'll begin with individuals who signed up in advance, and during this portion, we also welcome comments on agenda items. If you wish to speak on a matter not on tonight's agenda, you will have the opportunity to do so during the second citizens forum later in the meeting. Tonight, I also want to just put out a few ground rules. So first, please use your 3 minutes to make your remarks. While this is not a question and answer session, you are encouraged to mention any specific questions you have. Commissioners will have the opportunity to respond to any matters raised after all speakers have been heard. Second, I respectfully ask that everyone allow others to speak without interruption or commentary. Everyone who wishes to speak will have the opportunity to do so, and each person deserves the same courtesy and respect. With that, I'll now invite our first registered speaker to the podium. When coming up to the podium, please state your name and state your residency and begin your remarks. I'll begin with Tim Trahey from Ward 6.
Hi. My name is Timothy Trey. I live in 2325 Chestnut in Ardmore. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. All I have to say, maybe just dust in the wind. I come here tonight as a homeowner in Haverford Township. Someone has lived here for many, many years, raised a family here, and contribute to the community in every way I could. But I'm now facing a difficult reality whether I can afford to stay in my home or be forced to sell it. The decision weighs heavily on me. My primary concern is the ongoing rise of school taxes. While I fully support equality, education, and strong public schools, the increase in school taxes year after year has placed a burden on many residents, especially those of us on fixed incomes. I've done everything I can to be financially responsible, refinancing my mortgage when needed, manage expenses carefully, but the school tax has grown into one of the largest and most stressful bills. My home has been the center of my family for generations. It's a place where memories were made and where I hope to pass down my home to my loved ones. But rising taxes are threatening our legacy. Along this is a second issue that has added to the financial strain, the maintenance of township-owned property. There's a strip of grass and curbing near my property that I required to maintain through the technical township owned. I spent thousands of dollars over the years repairing, curbing, and cutting grass that doesn't legally belong to me. And when I tried to ask clarifications assistance, I often met with vague answers and worse, ignored. I know I'm not alone, but homeowners throughout the township are dealing with the same issue. The property belongs to the township, then the township should maintain it. It's unfair to pass the cost of responsibility on the homeowners who are already paying high taxes, and especially those taxes are supposed to support public maintenance and teachers who are high paid. I'm asking the board, the township, to really consider the position of long-term residents, especially seniors who want to stay in their homes, who have built lives here, and who are struggling to afford to maintain because of increasing tax pressures on shifting responsibilities. Please do not let long-time residents be pushed out of the way for those who simply afford to pay more. Think of those who paid into the system and helped grow the township and only want the dignity to age in homes that worked so hard for. My wife passed away 18 years ago in our home, so you can see how sentimental it is to me. I'm asking fairness, transparency, and compassion. Thank you for listening, and I hope you'll take my plea to heart, not just for me, but for all the seniors trying to hold what we built in Haverford Township. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now invite Cheryl Wazorek, Ward 7.
Good evening. I'm Cheryl Wazorek. I'm a nurse practitioner, and I've been a nurse practitioner for over 25 years, worked at Lankenau Hospital for 28 years. And I'm a Havertown resident. I live at 544 Washington Avenue here in Havertown for the past 33 years. And I'm a pickleball player at the Westgate Park, and I've been playing pickleball now for the past 5 years. And the reason why I'm here is to plead for an AED. That's an automatic external defibrillator. We do not have one at Westgate Park. And I had a personal experience of a man that collapsed on me. As a nurse practitioner, I'm well trained. I saw that he was stumbling, he's losing consciousness. I took him over to the bench that we have at the park, seated him, quieted him, assessed him. And his heart rate, his pulse, radial pulse, was 38. One of the pickleball players had a phone. They were able to call 911. The ambulance got there within 10 minutes, and they resuscitated him. The man did survive. Vince here is a pickleball player at Westgate Park. Vince is a survivor of sudden cardiac death. Vince was at a place at St. Pius Gym playing basketball and collapsed without any warning. And they had an AED and they saved his life. And I want that same thing here at Westgate Park.
That's where we'll be.
Sorry, little, Freudian slip. As we know, or maybe you don't know, that an AED, it's a portable life-saving device. You place it on the chest has to be exposed, you have pads, it analyzes the heart rhythm and could shock somebody. The incidence of sudden cardiac death could happen in a child as well as an adult. And the statistics show that there's 350,000 people that suffer sudden cardiac death every year. So it's our public health goal not to have that happen. I took this upon myself as a nurse practitioner, as witnessing this whole incident with this man. I have a little PTSD from that, but not really, So we have an app to play pickleball, and I put on this app that we don't have an AED, and a lot of people thought we did at that park. And I reached out to Jim McCann's, Haverford Township EMS supervisor. He told me that, yes, Haverford Township does have 44 AEDs available. There's one AED that's intact at Freedom Playground. So we have 43 to install. Long story short, he then said that, well, yeah, we have the AED, but you need an insulated cabinet to put this AED in, because there's gel pads that would be very sensitive to heat or cold or whatever. The cost of that is $1,590. I have collected from 57 pickleball players at our Westgate Park. I have collected $1,250 so far. Yay! We are short $340, and I'm asking you to pick up that balance if you could. It's very, very important to me and to everybody else. And I've also reached out to Connor, who is very receptive to this. I've reached out to Brian Gondek, and I think that the conversation has been started. Now we just need to finish it. So just in final summary, I want everyone to be healthy, to be happy, be safe, and save a life. And thank you. I appreciate
Thank you.
that.
Robert Kesselman from Ward 5.
Hello, good evening. Robert Kesselman, as you said, Ward 5, 36-year resident of Haverford Township, raised 4 kids, and I love living here. I'm heavily invested in the township. I wanted to support the plan that you have put forward for the 10-year plan that you have put forward. I think that the plan has a healthy respect for history as well as an eye to the future. And it seems to respect historical sites, green spaces, zoning. I also want to say that there is a need to generate revenue. Things are getting more expensive, not less. I am a retiree on a fixed income, and I am in favor of trying to find revenue wherever possible so that we can support the services that help make this a great township to live in. I'd like to make an analogy of why I think the plan is a good idea. My wife was a reference librarian from 2017 to 2020 at the Haverford Free Library. So I know a little bit about the library, certainly not everything. I recently went in there, wow, like the difference between what the library, this physical space now, it's amazing. The library was argued about. It was fretted over. It should be here. It should be there. It's too expensive. It's too this. It's too that. It took a long time to come to this, to where we are now. But look at what we have. We have better parking and a beautiful facility. And I can say that with exclamation points. that was hard fought. It was difficult, but you got there. And that's how I think this plan can work. This plan is an outline, as I understand it. It is not a fait accompli. It's not everything is dictated. Things will have to be hashed out, just like they were with the library. And I think that with a lot of argument that we can go to a better place. And so that's why I think the plan is an excellent idea. Also, the fact that the plan, there hasn't been one in place since 1988. I think it's time. We don't want to have paralysis by analysis, that old saying. Lastly, so I think that you should vote positively for this plan. Lastly, I would like to say I'm relatively new to coming to these meetings, and I would not want your jobs. Whatever your thoughts are, your leanings one way or the other, I really appreciate your service. There is so many details, of local government that it's mind-boggling. And I really appreciate everybody's service because you're here because you care about the community. You're not getting a cushy health plan or a $170,000 salary. So I really appreciate what you do. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Meth Wagner. Is Miss Wagner here? Oh, there she is.
Good evening, Mac Wagner, Rosewood Lane. I left the June 2nd citizens meeting hopeful and not. I was pleased so many citizens attended. Discouraged how many said that they had no clue. Full room, but thousands not accounted for. Do they not care? Too busy? Or did not have a clue what we were discussing? Most did not seem to like the plan. Not for Haverford Township, except the 3 new residents with degrees in planning. Thought you listened, but also realized, blah, blah, blah. And now you need to vote yea or nay. I understand Brentford's concern with zoning on their portion of Haverford Road. I want you to realize I'm not a divide and conquer gal. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Many of those office buildings are not full. Bryn Mawr Hospital has gone through multiple changes. I was employed as an RN during their downsizing in the early 1990s. I know how 938 Haverford Road has transitioned. I followed a kid home on an electric bike the other night. He used cutouts to ride Eagle Road at a pretty good clip. I followed at a distance, hoping to be his guardian angel. Did have a rear light, but no rearview mirror. Hope any of you would have done the same. This is Haverford Township, holding doors open behind us like they do at Wawa. I love that Wawa. Taking trash cans in from the street for neighbors that haven't gotten theirs yet. Caring about our neighbors. And back to my Haverford Road, commercial corridor as it is now known. As I am sure you cannot imagine my concerns, they are simple. It is not where you want to put more. I thought yesterday, as I was driving down Haverford Road, we could move these telephone poles back from the curb. They're really ugly, but they're on the wrong side. They're on the floodplain side, so nobody's moving any telephone poles, but that was what struck me. The new sandwich shop that just repaved their entire space, impervious, no sidewalk to nowhere. And I will leave you with one question. Have you walked the DMI side of Haverford Road commercial corridor during rush hour, let alone ride a bike? Call me, I'll walk it with you. So you will know why your cockamamie plan will not work. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now open the forum for residents who wish to speak on an agenda item this evening. So I'll start on the left front row. There you. Second row. Anybody wish to speak? Third row. Yes, sir.
Patience is a virtue.
Always, never hurry, never a hurry. Get too old for that. Hi, I'm Jim Hazelton. I reside in the township, and I just nothing formal, but some of the concerns. This plan to increase density, or as we understand it, increase the population in a town that is already significantly overpopulated, kind of defeats all common sense. I would like to think it would be fair to say every tax-paying resident has been stuck in the total gridlock traffic on all of our main roadways. This isn't just during rush hour, but mostly throughout the entire day. This carries a chain reaction effect we witness when road rage kicks in and people become frustrated. They then search for the closest side street turnoff where our kids and grandkids play. They speed down those streets, blowing stop sign, creating major hazards. Who in sound mind, would want to make this worse? We've heard a lot of comparisons to Radnor Township, from a tiny few who are supporting this. What we haven't heard, though, is Radnor Township actually passed an ordinance to prevent some of this because it started to get out of hand. We know we have a hospital shortage. We know that our schools are pretty much full. We've heard the spiel about, we've been working on this for 6 years since 2019. Isn't it true that this whole comprehensive plan is not mandatory? There's no deadline, and there's nothing that says we have to do this now. I agree with some of those speakers and you commissioners that the word was out and people should have paid attention. But unfortunately they didn't, and now the word's getting out and there's a lot of concern. What is the harm of voting no tonight? We asked you all to do that, to pause, to have the much needed discussion, even though there was discussion. Well, now there's people paying attention. If they don't show up, that is their problem. But to have dialogue between us taxpayers and you guys, to ensure safeguards are in place where these shoebox apartments and multi-tier units won't start popping up all over the township. Have a clear understanding of what is currently in the plan and what we could expect in the future. We don't want fear-mongering, as if to be, this vibe of, if you don't pass it, senior citizens, we're going to be forced to raise your taxes because we spent too much money, or whatever the case may be. That's just not right. That's ugly politics. We don't want that. We want to work with you guys. Not everybody's going to be happy. It's no matter what you guys do, people aren't going to be happy. But I think there's room to take a pause so we can all sit down and talk about this and at least get a lot closer. I thank you guys all for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else in the third row? Yes, Ms. Amter.
Hi, Rachel Amter, Grassland Avenue, 3rd Ward. I'm here today to support the comprehensive plan. It's been explained, it's plan. It's not, nothing in it is a rule. Nothing's going to happen without more zoning and without going before the zoning board. I understand the senior citizens who see the rising costs. Costs only go up. We can't not pay our township employees what they're worth. I don't know anybody in this room that's willing to give up. We're gonna get less garbage collection. We're gonna get less snow removal. We're gonna get less, and the way to fix that is to develop our business, because otherwise the prices go up and the denominator stays the same, which means we all pay more. So I thank you for your time, and I say vote yes. And I should just say we're an inner ring suburb. You should Google it. There's lots of interesting things. If we're not moving forward, we're moving backwards. That's the only option we got.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Paul.
Good evening, Todd Hall, Ward 2 of Haverford Township, which is a great township. The issue of a potential conflict of interest with a member of the board in relation to the comprehensive plan was raised at the last meeting. I appreciate that there was a response from the board. In the response, it was mentioned that the commissioner is proud of her son, that he's received suitable education in urban planning, that he enjoys using what he's learned out of our schools here to apply it to benefiting the community. And that's all great. As someone with children in our school district, I'm glad it prepares students for such opportunities, and as your neighbor, I'm glad that you're proud of your son. However, this didn't resolve the question being asked in the context of township code that I drilled down here with language from the code. The issue is if the commissioner feels that engaging in this business or transaction shall have any interest which would impair her independence of judgment or action in the performance of her official duties. In the past year, we had a commissioner abstain from a vote in a small routine matter involving PICO as his son works for them. If we see diligence in the application of the above code in that situation, we should see it from the board in this matter too. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else in the third row? Fourth row? Ms. Dowdy.
My turn when I know when I'm supposed to start. My name's Dory Dowdy. Good evening, 6th Ward. I'm here as a concerned resident about adopting this comprehensive plan without seeing evidence that it works in reality locally. Nearby Narberth has implemented exactly this mixed-use model, 3-story buildings with retail below and apartments above. Developers promised foot traffic and vitality, but storefronts now stand empty and many businesses struggle to stay open. So today, I went to Narberth and I walked for myself along Haverford Avenue and saw at least 8 storefronts spanning from 228 Haverford Avenue to 246 Haverford Avenue. I would have had time to maybe get photographs because I did that, but my phone battery died. But anyway, so it's on the south side of Haverford Avenue across from the Greeks. According to a few people I spoke to, these storefronts have been vacant for 3 years. Parking is a problem, public transit is in question, and the apartments above these there are other apartments in the different section there, not above these particular storefronts, but the apartments that are in the area that are very expensive and not affordable at all. So is this the future that's being proposed for Haverford Township? Clearly, there's empty storefronts for lease signs and underused retail. The section of Haverford promised as hubs of activity, but instead feel like ghost towns, empty and lifeless. Our township survey showed prioritizing traffic reduction, single-family homes, and flood control, not dense development. Yet tonight's proposal pushes forward with risky mixed use, and even other municipalities admit it isn't a cure-all. So I had gone over the last time we talked about we were wanting to have traffic relief. This plan doesn't even address congestion. We had a high demand for single-family homes. This plan doesn't promote that, and it promotes multifamily mixed-use zones. We were liking in the survey we took, affordable housing ranked lowest, and this plan adds dense market-rate apartment units. Flood control was a major concern, and doesn't even seem like it's mentioned, except maybe a mention of stormwater, no clear actions. So risks of copying this model: mixed use doesn't guarantee economic growth. High-rent apartments do not equal sustainable foot traffic. Businesses can't survive on upper floor tenants alone, and once the zoning changes occur, reversal is nearly impossible. Haverford deserves a plan that is based on evidence, not failed promises. Let's not rush into a model that's not working just one borough away. Please vote no adopting the 2035 comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lee.
Hi, my name is Michael Lee. I'm a Haverford Township resident. I'm also asking you to vote no on the comp plan. Most of us see, and first off, before I'd like to break it up, comp plan is huge. It's 122 pages. And I think what most of the residents are concerned about is the things that will lead to zoning changes. So, other stuff is, probably okay. But the zone, and what I see is this just putting more stuff in the most congested part of the townships. And so our township, as we see from the map, has been largely built out since 1960. We're just maxed out. And we want to put more stuff in the places that are already maxed out. The residents' biggest concerns are, of course, parking and congestion. It's just going to add to more congestion. And then other residents along the parts that are not going to be changed to mixed use are concerned about what's going to be put there, because what will happen to their zoning, what uses will be put in that position. And I'm fully sympathetic to people who want revenue. And last week we heard from Commissioner Holmes and Commissioner Foster-Grupp about revenue, but there's nothing in the plan about revenue. If you have something that says that mixed use leads to more revenue coming into the township, put it in the plan and let us look at it and understand it. Otherwise, everybody who's talking about revenue is talking about stuff they know nothing about, because we don't have any plan to increase the revenue. My big concern about the plan since the beginning has been the lack of public input. We last had public meetings on the plan that was 3 plans ago in 2022. It's now 2025. We asked for some public meetings on this back in January. We were told no. We asked for more public meetings on this recently. We were told no. It's like, why can't residents be involved? Why can't we have the township just explain a 122-page document to us? It doesn't make any sense. The plan is too top-down, and there seems to be unwillingness to revise it. I saw this thing in the Inquirer about Narberth and all the problems they're having with what we call transit-based mixed-use zoning. Why do we want to do that here? Why can't we just say, hey, we have a problem with SEPTA right now. Let's figure out what's going on with SEPTA before we start implementing the here along the M line and places like that. As far as the changes for Commissioner Cavender's ward, they seem to be substantive to me, and they seem to be favoritism for one ward, that these people who are complaining get what they want. Everybody else gets an word, and that should have been explained, as opposed to just having something come out called a RADA memo. So I think in the best interest of the township is to slow this down, have some meetings. If you have to pass some of this, pass it, but leave the part that will lead to zoning out of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lee Mullen of the Head Nut. Let's just say you make this plan actually to happen. I'm hoping you vote no. Let's just say there's going to be much more pollution, there's going to be a lot more traffic, and also there will be crime, there will be much more need for EMS, much more police presence. Is this township also going to be able to afford that too? Because then you have to looking at also more revenue. These places of mixed use, would you like to have it on your street? Let me ask you, would you like to have that seen on your street or in your part of your neighborhood? Any views, would you like to see that happen? The problem is public transportation is failing. You're asking for this type of thing with public transportation that's failing. That's also a failure in its own. Also look at, you're going to see your quiet neighborhoods that are really nice and quiet get to be a lot louder because there's going to be much more population coming in. There's going to be times where people are going to be coming in and out of this township with more traffic, almost 24/7 if you ask me, because then you're looking at apartment complexes that are on top of stores. Not only the stores are being active, you're looking at any time of the day and night, just like, yes, private areas and private homeowners can come and go as they please. But you're looking at also the nice quiet of this township. There is unbelievable quiet in this township. That is what this township's always been about. There's also the fact that you're looking at a crime situation that will increase. That has been known in these circumstances. Also, how is that going to be funded? You're going to see a lot of issues with that because you're contributing to it if you agree, yes. Because also look at how much other places are affected. Empty storefronts. What type of situation is that facing? That doesn't look very good for this township also. This township has been so nice to all of its residents. I think its residents definitely deserve way better than this plan, and I hope you vote no. And just remember that, would you like to see that on your area? That whole type of setup, businesses with a small amount, with 2-story apartments. Would you like to see that in your area, in your block? I don't think so. You're looking at much more traffic. You already see how bad it is now. Think about it. It's going to be 10, 15, 20 times more than it is currently. And there's going to be, as one other person said, cut through. There goes another problem. You want your kids, see if you have kids, or your grandchildren, what happens if something happens to them? I don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. That becomes a higher possibility with a lot of people cutting right through the neighborhoods, thinking that they're going to get somewhere faster because the traffic is already bad as it is. It's going to be even worse when it comes to this being developed. And I hope you vote no.
Thank you, Mr. Molino. That same row, yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Rich Anthony. I'm a Haverford resident. Been a Haverford resident for 69 years. I don't think anybody's more invested in this township than probably my family. We're 5 generations, including my 7 grandchildren. My grandfather built the sewers in this township. My other grandfather was a founding member of the Cheese Club. My dad served as a 30-year police officer in this township and served on the fire board and was an assistant chief of Brookline Fire Company. I think this plan is short-sighted. I spent my 45 years working in the construction industry. And the thing I know is once you change something, there is a cascade of changes that are going to occur. And you start thinking about infrastructure. I remember my dad in his police uniform staying at Darby Road when they were replacing the trolley line that ran down here. And he looked and he's just shaking his head. And the engineer came up to him and said, "What are you looking at?" And he said, "This is never going to work." He says, "What are you talking about? I'm the engineer." He said, "Look, I'm just a dumb old cop, but I'm telling you, this is never going to work." And some 60 years later, when it rains hard, Eagle Road still floods. And I don't think anybody's thinking long-term about the infrastructure changes. The sewers aren't going to be big enough. When you pave more stuff over, you got to worry about bringing in bigger sewer lines to be able to handle the density. You're going to have to increase water. We're going to have a need for more electricity, more upgrades. And I think you need to look at the long-term effects and decide what those are ahead of time and not go in the back door and then try to figure out how to put Band-Aids on it. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else in that 4th row? That's all. Back to the front. Then we'll go to the 5th row, so be ready.
Jane Hall, 161 Golfview Road. I just wasn't going to say anything, but I appreciate all the comments. I truly do. I think everybody's got some great input. I think and I apologize for not being here last week, but I think the comprehensive plan obviously is necessary for the township, and we have to move forward and not stand still. But I think the biggest part of the plan that maybe we could request, and I know that this is a little dicey, but zoning is really the big part. Zoning is where we actually implement and make sure that the plan is done properly. So in order to have that happen so that the residents of the township feel that they're being heard, I think it's really important for zoning, and I don't know how you do this, Commissioner Trombetta, because we have, separate rules about all of that, but if we could have possibly a zoning expert, someone come in and speak to the residents to help them understand. And I think this was really, really a big issue in Ardmore. when Ardmore went through the changes that they've gone through, and everyone's seen the big transition in Ardmore, that one of the biggest issues at hand at that time was building height. And the residents were really concerned about building height, and that's a zoning issue. So my request to the commissioners would be that in order for everyone to feel like we're really understanding what's happening, that maybe we could coordinate something in a meeting that would bring the zoning into a discussion with the commissioners to kind of, knit the two together for the residents so that people can feel that they understand better what's happening. Just a thought. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. All right, to the fifth row now. Fifth row? Next row? Next row, yep. Mr. Druin?
Hi, good evening. As you know, I'm board president for Discover Haverford, but I'm not here representing Discover Haverford tonight. So what I say are my own views, not necessarily the board's. I'm here really just as a resident. I live on Arlington Road, very close to Eagle Road, and experience a lot of the problems that people are discussing and fully understand them. I've got traffic a couple, maybe 2-3 times a day that backs up past my property all the way to Hastings. People start honking back at Hastings Road, trying to get people in the intersection to move. Aggravating. Also, it's like very difficult to just walk around through the area, crossing that intersection around Eagle and Arlington, and especially crossing over to Haverford Road and Eagle. I live a 10-minute walk from, it's not over yet. Right. No, I live 10 minutes from DMI. Shop there regularly, but I always drive because I just don't want to go through those intersections. So I'd really love to see a situation that's more walkable. Also with flooding, I've experienced a lot of street flooding. Lost 2 cars, one in 2004, one in 2009, because there is a lot of flooding in the area. And I also, after heavy storms, walk down Winfield Road and see all the trash that's out after a storm because people's basements are flooded. There are serious concerns in this area. Nevertheless, I am really for the comprehensive plan because I think overall it's a good thing for the township. In terms of, I would love to see some traffic calming and improvements to the intersections around Haverford and Eagle and Arlington and Eagle. When you read the land use section, there's a lot of kind of concerns and questions that get raised, but the answers to those questions are in the transportation section, talking a lot of really good ideas about traffic calming and traffic control and pedestrian safety, cyclist safety. A lot of the issues around flooding are contained in the sustainability section and natural resources. And one of the things with the flooding, and I don't think this is a solution to this flooding, but it helps. And I don't think development in that area, when it occurs, because I think it will take a long time, when it does occur, I think there are benefits to it. Because right now, that strip, a lot of the buildings there were developed a long time ago, long before stormwater management regulations were in place. So as new development comes in, there'll be a requirement to really have a stormwater management plan. They'll actually probably not aggravate the situation, perhaps help mitigate the situation. So I'd look forward to that. And then also, a lot of concerns about increasing density in the township. There's a good graph on page 15 that shows population density over time. We currently have fewer people in the township than we did 50, 60 years ago. This plan is projecting that the population may grow by 1,200 people over a 10-year period. So that's relatively modest. We are seeing a lot of congestion, but a lot of that is coming from all the development over in Ardmore and Narberth. But I think, controlling that traffic is an important thing. Last point is I think, the communication around this comprehensive plan has been excellent. For anybody who really takes the time and the initiative to get information, it's out there. I get of course, signed up for Commissioner Trombetta's newsletters, but also get it from Commissioner Hart. I read it, I open up the agenda, see what's there, And then if there's something I'm interested in, I'll watch the video. Everybody in the township has access to that. I also signed up for the township emails. So the information is out there. Sadly, only 45% to 50% of township residents exercise the right to vote and vote for you people sitting behind that table. Far fewer will actually pay attention to what's going on on a daily basis, and it really is difficult to reach those people because there's, everybody's got busy lives, raising kids, working. And, I think we could kind of go around in circles forever trying to get incremental awareness of this plan. But I think now is probably the time to vote and exercise what you're here to do is represent the people based on your best judgment of the best plan going forward.
Thank you, John.
Yep, thank you.
All right, anybody else in that row? Last row back there, yes, sir.
Jim Graziano, resident, 28 years at Haverford Town. I'm very concerned about the mixed zoning, and I just don't understand why it has to be changed. If somebody wants to build a unit or whatever, just go through zoning like everybody else does. I had to do it to build a garage. I went through zoning. I don't understand, and as people were pointing out, I don't know where it guarantees any kind of revenue. If they if they have a commercial building and the building flops anyway, and there's apartments above it, and are they going to get just revenue from renters? And usually, nothing good happens with renters. Nothing good happens with renting. That's what my experience is.
Go on, sir. Thank you.
So I just don't, when a person owns a house, they put their blood, sweat, and tears into it. And that's what I did. And that's what I'm most concerned about. And exactly, I know there's that property out a lot at Eagle and Darby Road. And I know somebody wants to develop it. I understand if I owned a lot, I would want to do something with it too. But it is true. I don't even use Eagle Road. When I come home, I'm one of these people that have to cut through the side streets to get to my house because like people talk about speeding. It takes 10 minutes to get from light to light. The only thing you can do is cut through side streets. I mean, it's going to, if they put renters there, it's going to add to the density. I don't know what the solution is, but and the other thing I wanted to also say is we do get, and nowhere do I know of that they collect trash twice a week. So if they want to once a week, would it save money? I mean, I don't know. I found out about this last week when somebody sent out the flyers. And that's what I'm really concerned with. I live right there, and I just don't want to, I know there's small businesses that people own and have renters there, and there's, no problems with it. I'm just worried about big developers, corporations coming in who really don't care, don't live in the neighborhood, and they want to develop it for money. That's what I'm really concerned with. So,
thank you,
thank
sir.
you.
Anybody else in that back row there? Okay, we're going to the right side, yes.
I sat on the wrong side. My name's Nora Hunt Johnson. I am in the 2nd Ward. I've been a resident of Haverford Town for 31 years. I'm here to voice my support for the plan. I'm grateful to the Township Administration, the Board of Commissioners, and many other groups and individuals who have diligently and thoughtfully worked on the plan over the past 6 years. When I attended last Monday's public hearing, I hadn't read the full document. So after I listened to the 3 hours of comments and questions, one person after another, I felt it was my duty to read the plan and make a personal assessment. And I've done that, and I think the plan is clear and to the point. I think it considers all of the critical elements that make up community life and the common good. And I don't see anything controversial in it. It's a plan, it's a guide. You have to have a guide going forward. You can't sit there and do nothing. You talk about walkable neighborhoods. Everyone's talking about traffic. You know, we need more walking. We need more bicycles. We need increased use of public transit. I mean, those are some of the answers. Additional trails, bike lanes. We need attractive business districts, and we need intentional, well-planned housing, including more affordable housing that would allow more of our children and grandchildren and young people in general to buy homes here or rent here. I don't see what's wrong with renting. I don't think most of us started out buying a house. And I also appreciate that the plan wants to welcome people from all walks of life, so that they can enjoy the benefits that we enjoy in this community, and they can contribute to ensuring those benefits and greater benefits for the future. So I hope you will vote yes, and I thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
My name is Grace Wilmer. I've lived in the township for 38 years in 2 separate wards. And I appreciate everyone here and what they have said, because everyone has their concerns. I, like Nora, have read through the plan, and I have a different view because for many, many years, 20 plus years, I was a visiting nurse all through Delaware County, Philadelphia, Lower Montgomery, Bucks, Chester counties. Without a plan, things go wrong. And to have a plan is just that. It's moving forward, it's thoughtful, it's covering a lot of the things that I think our neighbors may have not really seen. Traffic calming is in there. As a visiting nurse, I am very familiar with how to get around traffic. But I also understand that we're landlocked and we're a dense population. It covers floods and flood mitigation. I personally have had patients that had to be evacuated during these floods, the 2009 flood, and even before that. It covers something that I'm very concerned about is green space and walkable space. And yes, bicycling. I can bicycle from the creek down here, but I have to be very safe doing it. And some of that is in the plan. It's not going to be perfect. Nothing's perfect. And nothing's without politics. So I appreciate all of you have done, and I would encourage you to keep planning and keep planning thoughtfully and move this plan forward. It is a plan, and I thank you for your time and effort.
Thank you. Second row, yes.
I got stiff sitting down. Joyce Loeb, 6th Ward. I've read the comprehensive plan at least 3 times now, and I still find it to be a shining example of I've reached my conclusion, now I will go find some facts to support it. And in that process, I will use a lot of words that mean nothing but sound important. It comes across to me loud and clear that the township is facing some financial challenges. At the June 2nd meeting, it was said that unless this 10-year plan passes, township employees such as those in public works and sanitation would likely not get pay raises and may get pay cuts. Long-term planning should not affect short-term things such as payroll unless there has been some pretty poor planning. If this statement is true and not said for the sole purpose of let's scare these naysayers and make them feel bad, then the township is in financial trouble and it has occurred on your watch. The comprehensive plan stresses bringing in more business via support of Discover Haverford and like entities. I reviewed Discover Haverford's website for currently available properties for rent or sale. The website is up to date as of June, and there is over 30,000 square feet of office space currently available in the Brynford section on Haverford Road. This is where I congratulate the members of Brynford Civic Association and how they managed to get their commissioner to have their area exempted from planned zoning changes in order that all that open office space doesn't become something they may not want in their backyard.
I'm going to ask for...
Not only is there a load of office space available in Bryn Mawr, there are open storefronts in many locations, industrial space on Glendale, office space in Manoa, the Falcon Center, retail at the old LA Fitness, and much, much more. Do we have a glut or do we need more? I expect this vacant space situation is the primary driver to many financial issues. Now my favorite topic, the Haverford Road corridor was added as almost an afterthought 15 years ago on page 151 of the 2009 Comprehensive Plan Update. Many obvious ideas for improvement were listed, but unlike the plans for Oakmont, nothing regarding how to achieve the goals that were, or the cost or sources of funding were included. The Haverford Road corridor was studied further by the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission in 2013. The report lists flooding as the primary environmental issue on page 12 and is listed on page 24 as one of the 5 major constraints of the area. Was this study shared with the businesses on Haverford Road for their feedback? I'm all in favor of making Haverford Road from the bus route to Caricon Drive better looking and more functional than it is. After all, it is in my backyard. With what should not and cannot happen is development without careful thought and planning, and I'm not seeing it in this plan. It's pie in the sky. This is a high flood area. How does redevelopment of Haverford Road fit with water and slope management goals? How about stormwater management? What about the goal of management of the floodplain? Is your vision that these things all matter except for when it comes to the Haverford Road corridor? I'm still waiting for a response from the township on the next steps following the engineering study for flooding in the area. The Winfield Drive study with remediation alternatives was completed in July 2021. In August 2021, the township received nearly $20 million in funding under the American Rescue Plan. Dave Berman is quoted in the Delaware County Daily Times on August 23rd as follows. This is great. It serves a lot of purposes for the township, for the economy, and for the residents, said Berman. Look at all the money that is going into infrastructure. It's going to allow us to do a lot of good things for stormwater management and improved water quality and improve the economy by getting the money back into the economy. But has any of that funding been spent to solve the problem of flooding on Winfield Drive or Haverford Road? None that I'm aware of, and $2.5 million has been spent on infrastructure according to page 5 of the Township Financial Report.
Ms. Loeb, I'm going to ask you to wrap up your remarks.
This is my last paragraph.
Thank you.
I get the impression that the Board of Commissioners fully intends to pass this comprehensive plan this evening, despite the concerns expressed by many and the legitimate request for what I think is fair, a final period review of 45 days after recent updates. I don't know what the rush is. There must be a clock ticking on some financial carrot somewhere. If this is indeed a good plan, it will pass in 45 days. But as I get older, perhaps I'm getting more cynical and jaded. I understand the Nancy Pelosi political strategy. We have to pass this in order to find out what's in it. Thank you.
Thank you. In the second row, would you like to speak? No? Third row? On the right-hand side? Fourth row?
Hello, my name name is Emily Woodward, and I'm in Mr. Hart's ward, and I've lived here for about 14 years now. I just want to say a few things about the comprehensive plan. I would really, really love it if we could have more space for low-income housing, affordable housing. On my block alone, there are 5 people whose grown-up children live with them because they cannot afford to live here. And they want to live here. They want to live in Haverford, or Haverford Township, sorry. They want to raise their kids here, but they can't afford to, on their teacher's salary or their pastor's salary or their just becoming a coach salary, they can't afford to do it. So they're forced to live with their parents. And not everybody is privileged enough to have parents who can support them like that. So I would really love to see some support for people who aren't as privileged or aren't as lucky to have parents like that. I also want to say that it would be lovely to be able to walk to, like, I live over on Earlington and Manoa, and we walk to Espresso and have brunch, and we walk to El Limon and have dinner, and it's just so lovely to be able to, like, walk down to Brookline and have some ice cream and buy a plant and a book, and, like, it's just, like, I think my friends who live in Philly are a little jealous because we get the best of both. Like, we have that walkable space, we have the ice cream, we have this and that, and bring our dogs, but we also have the community and the safety and the township and the schools. So I would just like to say, please vote yes for the plan. And just a little bonus, I just want to thank you all so much for having the pride flag flying this month. My niece is bi, and she just feels so welcome, and like it means a lot. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in that row? Next row? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Kathy Levenick. I'm a resident of Hampton Road, and I'm here this evening about something totally different. We've been trying to get parking permits on our street for residents because we have a lot of students. We're the first street north of the high school, and there's absolutely no parking available for any residents during the day from 8 to 3. So we canvassed our neighborhood, and we received approximately 85% of a positive response to getting the permits. There's, like, our driveways are blocked by students, partially or completely some days. Some resident, like, as we canvassed, we got some information from other residents. Some were not real happy about people trying to turn around in their driveways because the traffic backs up in the morning, 7 or 8 houses, and then there's people trying to turn around, and there's little kids walking to the middle school, so it's not a very safe situation. The one thing that really stuck in for me, a traffic study was done May 2023, and we had 169 cars in a week travel on our street, up one direction and the other. And then Sergeant Long did a traffic study October of 2024, and that increased to 1,309 cars in just, less than a year. And it's crazy. Our street is crazy in the morning. And it just, it's so frustrating for all of us. So that's basically it. We'd just like to have you pass our ordinance I think it's this evening. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else in that row? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Ellen Freed. I also live on Hampton Road. I live on the other end, which is sort of near the tennis courts. And in the 10 to 15 years I've lived there, I've really enjoyed the students. I've helped them park at times. I've never had any problem with them. If I ever have someone park where they're not supposed to, and I tell them, they're very polite and don't do it again. So I think the problem is at the end where Mill Road is, where people try to drop their kids off and pull in there. So I don't know the answer. I definitely respect the opinions of the people down at the other end of the street who are having trouble. I'm sure it's not very pleasant. I just was wondering if there's any more thought about where students will be able to park, because people are going to be driving to the school, and sometimes parents have to have meetings there, and they might park on a nearby street or something like that. So if it's all permit parking, all surrounding the school, where are people going to park? I see less and less field space on the high school fields because they need to make more room for parking. And then on the other side of Mill Road, where the streets have permit parking, if you drive through there on a school day, there's no one parked on any of the streets. So it just seems a little bit wasteful to me when we need places for people to park and the streets aren't being used. One other thing that's off the subject, the lights over the tennis court are on all night, and they're really blinding to the houses behind. I think it's LED lights. And also, I don't think that the trash does need to be collected twice a week. Maybe that would save on some money, because our trash is collected on Wednesday and then again on Friday. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in that row? Okay, last row. Major Peterson.
Major Peterson, United States Army, retired. Topic of proclamations. We like to pass a lot of proclamations in this township. Well, this Saturday is the 250th anniversary of the United States Army. Okay? And on Sunday, it's the 250th anniversary of George Washington taking command of the Continental Army. But our township doesn't seem to recognize that by way of a proclamation. I ask why? Why is that? Can you think of any one person or any one organization that's more responsible for the founding of our country than George Washington or the United States Army? Please name it. All right? I can't think of anyone. Right now, we live in a society that has eliminated slavery. That's thanks to the Union Army and all that fought in the Civil War. In April of 1917, President Wilson committed the United States to World War I. The tide of World War I changed when the United States Army arrived on the scene. In 1941, 648 million Europeans were under Nazi rule. If not for the United States Army and all other services, where would Europe be now? They'd be under Nazi control. And yet this township doesn't seem to recognize the importance of significant organizations or people in their proclamations. Instead, they'll pass proclamations in support of prosperity or they'll support proclamations opposed to poverty instead of real important, consequential substance. So let's think about the proclamations we pass. All right? I asked the commissioners, if you really want to pass valuable proclamations, put your stand on the record. Do you stand for Section 8 housing for Haverford Township? Yes or no? Pass that proclamation. I want to know who's for it, who's against it. If you want to be a sanctuary township, pass a proclamation. I want to know who's for it, who's against it. All right? If you want to pass proclamations that defund the police, I want to know who's for it, who's against it. I don't really care about whether the first day of the week is going to be Sunday or not. I want substance, critical, valuable voter information. Our Delaware County Council decided after an election to raise taxes by 24%. Do you think they ran on that as part of their platform to be elected? No, they waited until they got elected. Then after they're elected, like cowards, they pass a 24% tax increase. Why didn't they say, I stand for a 24% tax increase while they were elected? Because they knew they'd lose. So let's think about some of our proclamations. Let's make them consequential. Let's make them what the voters want to know about. Not what makes you feel good, so that you can go home at night, pat yourself on the back and say, I voted for prosperity. I voted against poverty. Thank you.
Any further comments on the back row there? Just to make sure I got everyone. Going back to the left-hand side. Anybody wish to speak on the left-hand side? We missed anyone? Right-hand side. Final call. All right. Thank you, everyone who took the time to participate in public comment this evening. For follow-up on individual questions or concerns, I encourage you to connect with your individual commissioner or, of course, with our township manager at the conclusion of the meeting or via email or phone. But at this time, I'd like to open the floor to my colleagues on the board for any responses or remarks regarding the matters raised during the citizens forum.
Well, referring to the Hampton Road thing, I've been in talks with them for probably about 2 years now about this, and I hear what Ms. Freed said too, and I respect that as well, and I know that the street does, and and I know that we just want to get something done, and with the lights on the court there. That is the school board, I believe, the school district. That would not refer to us, so that would have to go before them to talk about the lights. But I just wanted you to know that I heard you on the street, and I respect your views, and I don't agree with what you said, but I understand. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Quinn. Any further comments, remarks from my colleagues at this time?
Madam President, if I just may briefly, I don't know if she's still here, but the speaker who spoke about the AED box installation is still here. I just wanted to let you know, feel free to stick around to the end of the meeting if you'd like to discuss it. But if not, I will get back in touch with you. I have spoken to the township. I've spoken to Commissioner Quinn, and we'll be following up with you to address your concerns.
Yes, and I would like to give to your, I would like to give the remaining amount, the $340 to help to cover that, and then we will work with Tim and the rest of the crew. But I will give you a check this week for it. Okay.
Way to go! All right.
Madam President.
Yes, Commissioner Holm.
Committee, I'm not sure we're going to accept that award for that, and perhaps we will just figure out a way in the township for us to be able to get these AEDs safely into our into our recreation facilities. I assume not all of them need to be outdoors and insulated, but those that do, that is something we should look at immediately.
Thank you, Commissioner. We do have a stock of 17 AEDs available currently to be placed. And the challenge now is to put them in places where we would expect them to be, the most likely to be used, perhaps along our trails, but the priority would be places where there's contact sports. Remember the DeMar Hamlin event with Buffalo Bills? And there's been several since. But that would be the number one place. And I have spoken to the school district. I'm working with them as well on some kind of a joint project, as well as speaking to a few of our leagues, baseball leagues and what have you, have AEDs, but they basically are seasonal. They get locked up for the winter or fall or whenever, so they're used. And if we could put them on the outside of a snack shack or something, we would continue to work with them to maintain them. If they're used, I would replace all the supplies, within a short period of time, within hours. But the concentration right now is to get them out there and to make sure that the pads don't freeze and the batteries don't wear down because of weather changes. So if the pads freeze, then it changes the conductivity and they're not useful. So they do have to be warmed, and it is a bit of a challenge. But I think if we partner up, and this is a unique opportunity due to the COVID money, essentially the ARP Act, we were able to fill the police department and the fire departments with CR2 AEDs, which are compatible directly with our EMS units, our cardiac monitors. So instead of trading in those AEDs, we kept them. And we've increased our concentration in a number of places. The library it has 2 of them now. There's a number of other places we placed them. Even 2 of the VFW posts actually asked for them to be placed. They put in the cabinetry, but they're indoors. So we've worked with them on that as well. So we're trying to get them out there, trying to get them in the public, and partnering with whomever we can to make it work.
I'm looking around. Do we have one in this room?
Right outside the door. You can see it right there, that bright lime yellow thing with the red
Out of
bag
my
hanging
view.
off of it. Yes.
Okay.
So Jim,
Fortunately, we haven't had to use it yet.
Okay.
I will reserve my comments on the comprehensive plan to when we get to it, and I will save my comments on proclamations to the end of the meeting. I do want to thank Mr. Trahey for coming out earlier. His comments about the tax burden on senior citizens. I can assure you that all of us take that very seriously on this board, not to try to hawk this plan, but one of the goals is to try to rely less on residential taxes for us to be able to provide the township services we have. But I can assure you it's something we think about every year when we pass our budget. And I appreciate Mr. Trahey's very personal appeal to us on that issue. And so thank him. I thank him for being here. That's all I have for now.
Thank you.
Jim, just a quick, so we do have enough AEDs to put them in most of the park where there are sporting?
Oh, yes. We have
And
it
so
covered.
the holdup is that the boxes to
Yeah, the
contain
heated
them.
cabinets is the issue right now.
Because I think that's something that we should look at to try to fund. That seems like a relatively low cost. And I agree, they would be a great to have them there, and not just in Paddock, but in all the places where we have activities. Thanks.
Excellent. And I have worked with Eileen Toll in identifying fields and places at those fields to put them into use.
Great.
So save the money for a pickleball postseason party, folks over there. I did the math real fast. 43 times 1590. We need about $69,000 to do all 43 of them with all of this stuff around them. Doesn't sound to me like we need that many, but let's see what we can do as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Further comments from my colleagues? Okay, thank you. Thank you all again. This time I'd like to invite our Chair of the Commissioners' Fire Committee, Commissioner Gondek, to share this month's Bureau of Fire update. Commissioner Gondek, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam President. The Haverford Township Bureau of Fire report for May of 2025. We had total incidents of 77, 61 being township incidents and 16 out of township mutual aid incidents. Average personnel per call was 18. We logged 1,080 personnel hours committed to incidents and 469 personnel hours committed to training. The Bureau of Fire provided mutual aid to 7 working fires within Delaware County. Also, Manoa Marine 56 was sent to Marple Township on 5/16 for a water rescue. Subject was trapped in high water on the 400 block of Red Hill Road. I would also report that in May of 2025, our ambulance corps had 465 dispatches, resulting in 414 medical charts. That included 218 patient transports and 117 out-of-township responses.
Thank you, Commissioner Gonda. Are there any questions or comments related to this report? Hearing none, we'll move on to our Township Auditor update. So I'd like at this time to invite our Township Auditor, Mr. Ross Anderson, up to the podium.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a little bit sleepy. It's definitely past my bedtime after all those that commentary, but it's much appreciated. I want to say, but I do commend the commissioners for passing, for recognizing Pride Month, and as well as Juneteenth. Yep. I reviewed the warrants and expenditures for this meeting. I found no irregularities, and my answers were answered to my satisfaction. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Anderson? All right. At this time, I'd like to invite our Township Manager, Dave Berman, to provide his update for this month. Mr. Berman, the floor.
Thank you. I'd be glad to answer any questions if the commissioners have any, but in lieu of that, I'd invite Ken Matthews and Ren Petre from CBD Construction to step forward. The board had asked last week for you folks to show up and give us a report on both the library change orders and the stadium change orders.
Yeah.
I was going to make you wait till later, but
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. I'll start out with the stadium, a quick little update. So things are progressing pretty well. We've had a couple little existing condition wall layout issues that we're dealing with, but you know, the goal is still to try to get done here. It may not be by the end of this month, but it should be shortly thereafter. So some of the change orders that are here tonight, happy to answer any specific questions or walk through them. But they're all pretty standard. You can see project started with $200,000 in contingency, and we're down to about 143. That was as of my memo. It's a little bit lower than that now, but it's still there still should be plenty to finish out the project. So if anybody had any specific change order questions, happy to answer them.
Any of my colleagues have any questions? Excellent. Thank you.
So that's it as far as the skating.
Thank you.
And Brandon, you can go through.
Yeah, so just in terms of the library, they had their grand opening on the 22nd, and they are commencing with their operations. In regard to the contingency, we're still about 55,000 left. In regard to the change orders for this month, were there any specific questions for any of the change orders listed?
Any questions?
Questions about the change orders themselves. I'm just curious in terms of the I guess we're in the punch list phase of that project. What are we looking at time-wise? Like when, don't get me wrong, I enjoy seeing you on a monthly basis, but when do we move on to another project?
We're just as eager.
When do we move on to another project?
So the big push right now is anything that is not material related in terms of lead time for something that they're waiting for. We're hoping to wrap up as soon as possible. So they're making a good push with the punch list to kind of wrap up the majority of it by the end of this week, at the latest the end of next week. Obviously, in terms of some of the paving, not only with the library lot, but as well with One Mill, the weather has kind of not been our best friend on that. So we were actually going to final pave the parking lot today for the existing parking lot, but the weather, so now we're looking at Wednesday. So the stuff that's readily available to them, they're pushing and pushing to have done by the end of the week. And then anything that has an extended lead time that they're waiting on material for. But the goal is, I mean, hopefully in the next 4 to 6 weeks, just on some of the long lead items, but to have everything kind of wrapped up as soon as possible.
Yeah, and there's still, you know, some final paperwork to go through. There's a lot of closeout documentation that they have to do. going through these final change orders, negotiating final changes with them to get to really just get everything officially closed out financially as well.
Anyone else? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a great night. All right, so we now move on to agenda item number 7, the approval of warrants. I'll now entertain a motion.
Madam President,
Yes, Commissioner Holmes.
I move we approve warrant number 6 of 2025 totaling $5,874,875.63, comprising the general and sewer fund payroll for May 22nd, 2025 in the amount of $1,218,703.11. General and sewer fund payroll for June 5th, 2025 in the amount of $847,970.83. General fund disbursements in the amount of $1,150,864.34. Sewer fund disbursements in the amount of $642,816.26. Community Development Block Grant Fund disbursements in the amount of $44,606.55. Capital Projects Fund disbursements in the amount of $991,671.06. The American Rescue Plan Fund disbursements in the amount of $963,036.97. A credit card statement ending May 27th of 2025 in the amount of $15,206.51.
Heard a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Heard a motion and a second. The motion is now open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on this board?
Any questions that have been raised by our township auditor have been answered to his satisfaction by our township staff, and I recommend that we approve this warrant.
Any further comments? Questions? Hearing none. Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondek.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Cavender.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn. Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCullum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. We'll now move on to agenda item number 8, appointments. Commissioner Holmes will begin with an appointment of a representative to the 6th Ward to serve on the Environmental Advisory Committee. A vote is not required for this appointment. So Commissioner Holmes, do you have an appointment you wish to make?
Madam President, I appoint Dave Roberts to the Environmental Advisory Committee for the term ending December 31st, 2026.
Thank you, and congratulations to Mr. Roberts. Next, I'll entertain a motion to appoint one citizen to serve on the Township's Health Advisory Board.
I would like to make a motion to appoint Judith Lalonde to serve.
I heard a motion and a second for Judith Lalonde. Are there any other nominations for the Health Advisory Board?
Madam President, I'd like to nominate Joanna Arnowski for the Health Advisory Board.
Second.
Heard a motion and a second for Joanna Arnowski and Judith Lalonde. Are there any other nominations? Is there a motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second.
Motion to close in a second with a voice vote. All those in favor of closing nominations, please say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion to close carries. The board will now consider Judith Lalonde or Joanna Arnowski for the Health Advisory Board. Mr. Berman, can you please take the roll?
Commissioner Gondek.
Judith Lalonde.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Judith Lalonde.
Commissioner Cavender.
Joanna Arnowski.
Commissioner Holmes.
Joanna Arnowski.
Commissioner Quinn.
Judith Lalonde.
Commissioner Hart.
Judith Lalonde.
Commissioner McCullum.
Judith Lalonde.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Joanna Arnowski.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Joanna Arnowski. I believe that leaves
Lalonde.
Judith Lalonde. Congratulations to Ms. Lalonde. Thank you, and thank you to all the 3 applicants we had. Next, I'll entertain a motion to appoint one citizen to serve on the Township's Human Relations Commission.
Madam President, I'd like to nominate Natalie Peterson for the Human Relations Commission.
Second.
Heard a motion and a second. Are there any other nominations for the Human Relations Commission?
Motion to close.
Is there a second for motion to close?
Second.
With a voice vote, all those in favor of closing nominations, please say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Motion to close carries. The board will now consider the appointment of Natalie Peterson for the Human Relations Commission. Mr. Berman, can you please take the roll?
Commissioner Gondik.
Natalie Peterson.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Natalie Peterson.
Commissioner Cavender.
Natalie Peterson.
Commissioner Holmes.
Ms. Peterson.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCollum.
Natalie Peterson.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Natalie Peterson.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Natalie Peterson, congratulations. And thank you to all of the applicants. We'll now move on to consider the approval of the items listed on the consent agenda. Please note that all items are detailed in the public packet. This time, I'd like to ask my colleagues if anyone wishes to remove any items from the consent agenda for individual consideration later in the evening. Hearing no requests, I'll now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So I move to approve items A through I of the consent agenda as further detailed in the public packet.
Second.
Heard a motion and a second. The motion is now open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on the board? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Cavender.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. The board will consider one ordinance this evening, P8 2025. This is a second reading. I'll now entertain a motion.
Yes, I motion to adopt the second reading of ordinance P8-2025 further amending and supplementing ordinance number 1960 adopted June 30th, 1986, and known as General Laws of the Township of Haverford, Chapter 175 vehicles and traffic to designate the west side of Hampton Road as sticker-only parking from 7 o'clock till 11 o'clock a.m.
Second.
Heard a motion and a second. The motion is now open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on this board? Hearing none. Mr. Berman, can you please take the roll?
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Cavender.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
No.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
No.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. Now move on to agenda item number 11, resolutions. The board will consider 3 resolutions this evening. We'll begin with resolution number 2450-2025, which pertains to a lease agreement with the Haverford Township School District. I'll now entertain a motion.
Motion to approve Resolution 2450-2025, approving amendments to the lease agreement with the Haverford Township School District for a property located at 50 Hilltop Road.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I've heard a motion and a second. Motion is now open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on this board? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Berman.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Cavender.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart. Commissioner McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. We'll now move on to Resolution 2451-2025, which pertains to a DCED grant application for Elwell Park Path. I'll now entertain a motion.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2451-2025, authorizing application to the PA DCED Greenways Trail and Recreation Program Grant Program.
Heard a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Heard a motion and a second. The motion is now open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on this board? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Berman.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Cavender.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. We'll now move on to resolution number 2452-2025, which pertains to the adoption of the township's comprehensive plan. I'll now entertain a motion.
Motion to approve resolution number 2452, 2025, approving the comprehensive plan, Haverford 2035.
Second.
Heard a motion and a second. The motion's now open for discussion. I'd like to begin by just noting that the adoption plan packet was published on June 6th on the township website and via our newsletter. An errata sheet and adoption plan draft was included in that. Now I'll open up the floor for discussion.
Madam President, I wanted to ask the board to consider amending this motion to incorporate a few clarifications to seek to further clarify the distinction between the Haverford Road and the Haverford Road Commercial Corridor, where the township is designating an area that may permit mixed use as identified in the future land use map. Some of these clarifications were made, but there were a few that were missed. And so I just wanted to point those out, and I'm happy to provide this in writing. On page 5, change the Haverford Road corridor, specifically between the Ardmore Junction and Wynwood stations, to the Haverford Road Commercial Corridor, that is the area between the Ardmore Junction and Wynwood Road stations. And then page 9, to change Haverford Road corridor to Haverford Road Commercial Corridor. Page 22, change Haverford Road to the Haverford Road Commercial Corridor. Page 28, change Haverford Road Corridor to Haverford Road Commercial Corridor. And then the same change on page 31, to change Haverford Road Corridor to Haverford Road Commercial Corridor. And then 2 changes on page 107 at the second objective, change the Haverford Corridor to the Haverford Road Commercial Corridor. And page 107 in the third objective, change Haverford Road Corridor to Haverford Road Commercial Corridor. And please, I want to note that these corrections seek to further clarify the distinction between Haverford Road and the commercial corridor, where the township is designating a specific area that may permit mixed use as identified in the future land use map.
Thank you. Just to be clear, so this is just a clarification and non-substantive change, correct?
Correct. It's made in a couple of places, and then it's confusing because it was just missed in a couple of other places.
Thank you. So now I need to ask the individuals who motioned and seconded. Commissioner Hart, do you accept this?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner McCluskey?
Yes.
Thank you. So the board will consider with those further clarifications. I'm going to open up the floor again to my colleagues for any discussion at this point.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, Commissioner.
Given that it has been raised whether it is required that I should recuse myself, I would ask our township solicitor to provide his opinion on the question of whether I need to recuse myself on voting for the comprehensive plan.
I'm happy to offer that opinion. So let's think about what we're discussing here, and I'm learning this, I think as you are, that there were 2 agreements between the township and your son, one from June to August of 24 and one from September to December 24, which were form township agreements used for any sort of technical consultants, and this was a professional, personal consulting contract where your son provided technical PDF formatting services for the comp plan, for the publication, and the associated graphs and charts. I looked through those agreements. There is nothing in those agreements that says if the plan was adopted or approved by the board that your son would make more money, get an additional bonus. So it's my opinion that voting for the comprehensive plan does not result in any pecuniary benefit to you or your son. And that's really the issue for a conflict of interest. If you were to vote on the approval of those separate agreements for your son where he would be paid compensation, certainly that would have been an issue. But as is the normal case with these administrative agreements, they're approved by the township manager. In order for there to be a conflict of interest, there needs to be a use of a public office for a private pecuniary benefit for yourself or your immediate family. But approving a comp plan, if that's what you were to vote to do, does not result in any pecuniary benefit for your son or for you, but all would be advantaged or disadvantaged, depending on the opinion, just as much as everybody else in the community. I also looked in, and there is a Pennsylvania Supreme Court case from 2020, Civic versus State Ethics Commission, that says voting on payrolls as part of the employees, which I would imagine at some point in time that was done, even if you were unaware of it, is also not a violation of the State Ethics Act because it's an ministerial action that impacts all employees or consultants or anybody who's approved under those warrants equally. So that's a long way of saying there is no pecuniary benefit. So I don't believe, in my opinion as the township solicitor, that there is any conflict of interest of you voting on whether or not the comp plan should be approved.
Thank you for your considered legal advice. And I would say to everyone that if you know teachers, and I have taught for 30 years, we are rule followers. That is my job as a teacher, to make sure that rules are consistently applied fairly and justly, and I will abide by the advice of our solicitor. And I also confirm that the work that our son did was careful, conscientious, and under the direct supervision of the township administration in all aspects. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Forster-Graff. Further comments?
Commissioner Trombetta, when I first came on the board almost 8 years ago, one of the first things I did was to try to push the board to adopt a new comprehensive plan. At that time, we wanted to delay, or the consensus was we should delay at least a while because we wanted to do this jointly with Radnor to save money. We waited a year and Radnor wasn't ready to move forward, so that started the process. Incidentally, Radnor is approximately at the same place we are now, despite starting behind us. I've attended all the public meetings, listened to all the planning commission meetings, attended all the meetings of our board that was looking at the plan, listened to experts, listened to community leaders, and listened to residents. I think this is a very good plan. Bottom line, most people are happy with Havertown. They're happy with our police services. They're happy with our public works services. They love our parks. They love the open space. They love the trails and the activities that the park department supplies. There are some things that I think we've felt in our business community, and this is feedback from some of the members of our business community, that mixed use in very localized areas would help grow these areas, would help increase revenue. In my neighborhood, where I live close to the Brookline Business District, I would say most people in our neighborhood love the business district. It has businesses on the first floor with apartments on the second floor. It was planned. It's 100 years old. It's lasted. People like to walk to it. No one in my 35 years in the township has told me, well, you did a really good job with Eagle Road. It's a mess. And 2008, 2009, we tried to do some things. There has been some improvement, but this is another attempt. This is another suggestion of a way to go forward. But if we do pass this plan, tomorrow, nothing is different. There's no zoning changes. All of this is a plan. Anything that's going to happen in any of these districts, if it is to happen, we need to get public input again. We need to change zoning laws to enable it to happen. And even if it does happen, then it requires either businesses in those areas or a developer to go to those businesses and say, I want to develop this area. We're not talking about something that's going to happen overnight. I mean, none of this, if there are changes, if any of this mixed use occurs, I think I'm being optimistic in saying it will be 4 or 5 years. So this is something that's not going to have a sudden change in the township. So I'm definitely very much in favor of this, and I hope we pass it tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Hart. Further questions, comments?
Madam, I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead, Brian.
please. After you.
Thank you. Madam President, listening to some of the comments and listening to comments from the various meetings, people talking about how long they've lived here. I don't know what the magic number is to have standing to care about the township. I've lived here 27 years in the township. Now that's a little less than half my life. My children have spent their entire lives here. And I've spent 20 years on this board. Every vote I take, I swear to everybody here, is in my judgment what I think is the best vote for the township, because I live here and I plan to live the rest of my life here and leave my house feet first someday. I'd like my children to come back here, whether they live here or just come and visit. I would love them to come back and be part of a thriving community. My comments last week, I've reread them on the internet, and I've been astonished at how badly I was misunderstood. And I will take full blame for somehow my expression of the need for us to change the ratio of real estate taxes to business taxes as part of our budgeting to be some kind of threat that we're going to start firing people, or just you wait for the tax increases that come if you don't do this plan. Whether we do this plan or not, the fact is that we rely too much on our residents in this town and too much on the taxes associated with their homes and with the sales of their homes. $30 million of our tax revenue is associated strictly with the ownership of a private home in this town or its sale. And only another $3.5 million are generated by taxes that are associated with the operation of businesses in this town. That ratio has to change. The ratio has to change because because providing government services won't just become more expensive because it's more expensive, but because also the government services will get better and we will do more for folks and people will count on us more. I also cannot plan for this future and assume that public transportation is a thing of the past. I will not conduct any kind of analysis of this thinking that SEPTA is somehow going to fail. It's not going to this year or next year or any other year. Trains, buses, and other means of mass transportation are going to remain part of our lives. We have to plan around those. And in some ways, we have to plan in reliance on those. This plan looks back at 30 years of our township and our neighborhoods and comes up with an idea, a blueprint of what we could do better, of what different businesses have told us they would like to do differently. 3,700 people participated in the survey that was conducted when this was first put out there. So people understand the significance of 3,700 people. As little as 0.5% of a sample size, as long as it's 100 people or more, is considered statistically significant for purposes of gathering information. We had almost 10% of our township respond in these surveys. We have worked very hard for 6 years to come up with a plan that, in my judgment, helps this township move forward and helps ease the burden on our residents to continue to sustain the services we're used to in the township that we love. For that reason, I will be supporting this plan.
Thank you, Commissioner Holmes. Commissioner Gonda, did you have remarks?
Yes, Madam President, thank you. For the record, third generation Havertonian, 49 years in the township, for what it's worth. That being said, I do want to just state, I've received numerous calls, emails, texts regarding the comprehensive plan. Some of them have been in support, some of them have been in opposition. And I've listened to everyone who's come to the township meetings to express their opinions. And I truly respect and value all of the feedback that I have received. And while I may not agree with everything that I have heard, I did listen and I did pay attention, and I do value it because I think that civic engagement is the cornerstone for our society. That being said, I do want to, just address a couple of different things. The comprehensive plan itself is really, it's three things rolled in one. And this is for not just the people here, but anyone who wants to watch this, after the fact. It's actually a pretty good history lesson of the township and where the township came from. It's a guide to what's where in services and hours and all that stuff. But it also lays out a number of goals and kind of a vision for the township. And one of the things that it does is it puts forward, I believe, I rough counted, it was about 65 recommendations. All of the feedback that I've heard little, if none, opposition to specific recommendations. It seems that the concern here is zoning, and it's very specifically focused on 3 commercial districts within the township. So out of this 122-page document, really it seems that the primary concern that I'm hearing is the zone, and I'm not going to say the only concern. The primary concern is the zoning and the proposed zoning changes and how it affects these 3 commercial districts. Just to clarify a couple of things, the comprehensive plan is not a law, it's not a regulation, it's not a code, it's a guide. And as such, it's not permanent. While we're supposed to revise it every 10 years, we already know for a fact that that doesn't necessarily happen. And quite frankly, there's no rule that says that we can't change it really whenever we want. Matter of fact, I actually think we're prohibited from binding future boards in that way. The plan does not involve the township taking anyone's property or taking anyone's business. It does not involve the township forcing anyone to give up, sell, or otherwise change their property or their business. It does not change the density in residential areas. Now, please keep in mind, I acknowledge that there could be density changes in these small commercial districts we're referencing, but our township is over 78% residential and recreational space. Our commercial districts only account for approximately 3% of our land use. This plan, and I will state that a couple of people at last Monday's meeting brought this up, this plan does not impact the number of cars that people can own. I have 4 daughters and a wife, and I can tell you that I'm not giving up any of my cars anytime soon. And I have 4 of them. This plan really doesn't force anyone to do anything. What the plan does, though, is it creates a framework to modernize a portion of our township, a portion of our commercial districts, not even the entire commercial districts, but a portion. Now, there is no guarantee that anything will change or that anyone will step forward to do the redevelopment. Remember, we're not doing it. We're just laying the foundation for developers to come in and do it. And it's quite possible that 10 years from now, Haverford Avenue, Eagle Road, and Westchester Pike will look identical to what it looks like now. But it's possible it won't, and there will be some changes. If we want to be in the driver's seat of those changes, we need to get the ball. We've already come behind the 8 ball in several circumstances, vape shops to be one of them. And so for us to be able to properly guide the development of the township and get it through, we need to be a little bit more proactive. And the proactive part starts with adopting a guide. Again, it's a guide, and it can be changed, it can be updated, and really it lays the foundation for many more steps down the road. I've heard concerns about traffic congestion, and I will agree with you that these are very valid concerns. However, I feel that these concerns can be addressed as best we can address them as a township dealing with major state roads that cut through our township during the zoning code rewrite process. That process, almost by definition, cannot start until the comprehensive plan is finalized. The other thing I would highlight is if you just drive down, I'll use Eagle Road and Westchester Pike corridor as an example, there are already tons of mixed-use properties. It just so happens that they popped up haphazardly over the years and without any direction or guidance on standards. And this comprehensive plan and the attempt to rewrite the zoning in these areas allows us as a community to make sure that the character of our community is maintained the way that we want it to be maintained, and not by 12 different developers randomly coming in and doing whatever they want. I've heard concerns about SEPTA changes. Again, I agree. These are very valid concerns. However, admittingly, I'm not the oldest person here, but I've been around long enough to know that there's a lot left to play out involving SEPTA. This isn't the first time a public entity has put out raised the red flag in the need of government funding. Again, going back to an earlier point, with regards to the SEPTA situation, depending on how SEPTA plays out, that's going to inevitably dictate the developers' desire and the plans to redevelop these places that we're trying to give them a little bit of leeway to do so. And quite frankly, it's going to play into our future plans for how we rewrite our codes and our rules. Again, no developer is going to develop something that they can't make money off of. And in the same sense, I don't think any of my board members here are going to take any actions or not take any actions that they feel would be beneficial, even if it involved making certain changes to our codes down there. I've heard concerns about excessive population growth and its impact on the township and schools. And again, I agree, these are valid concerns. However, I feel that these concerns can be addressed as part of the zoning code rewrite. At no point do I support, and I find it hard to believe that my fellow commissioners would support, although I won't speak for them, Eagle Road turning into a row of 6-story apartment buildings between Lawrence Road and Darby Road. I don't think that's what the vision is. I think the vision is more like Eagle Road between Barada and Katz Pharmacy, where you have a nice mom and pop shop on the first floor, widened sidewalks, and then a level or some residential apartments on the upper floors. The plan itself clearly states out in it that we're talking about a possible population growth of 1,000, 1,200, I think is the actual number. It's not calling for 10,000. I don't think we want 10,000. We're not trying to just bring in people for the sake of bringing in people. This is about redeveloping these areas, and one of the ways to redevelop it is to allow for this mixed use. We didn't just pull it out of a hat. This is kind of the new trend in redevelopment, and this is why we're trying to make it work. I would actually point out, and an interesting thing that I didn't even realize until today, is that our population is currently 50,000 approximately. In the 70s, it was 57,000. And that was also without things like the preserve and the Creek area. I feel comfortable that between using the zoning code rewrite and moderate population growth, we can achieve our goals without overburdening our services. I've heard concerns about stormwater management. I've heard concerns about the sewers and stuff like that. And one thing I will say is part of reviewing our zoning code in as a second piece to this puzzle is addressing all of those things. We're not going to let somebody come in and build a property that is going to blow up the septic system. It's not. It's going. The plans are going to come in. They're probably going to go through the planning commission. They're going to go through the engineer. They're going to be reviewed by the township professional staff, codes department, and so on. And we're going to make sure that we do this right. The concern that I have is our budget, and our budget is labor intensive. It's the nature of government, or at least it's the nature of our government. I'm not going to make a generalized claim. It's the nature of the Haverford Township government. We're labor intensive, and so we have to be conscientious about that budget, and we also have to be conscientious about the way we fund that budget. And as Commissioner Holmes so accurately pointed out, we are very, very, very heavy on residential taxing. As a proportion of our total tax pie, okay? I don't think anyone's going to come in here and advocate for not keeping our playgrounds clean. I don't think anyone's going to come in here and argue about fire and police officers. I don't think anyone's going to come in here and talk about cutting back on services. And most of the time when I hear people come in here, they want additional services. They want more cops, they want more trash trucks, they want more plowing, they want more parks, they want more playground equipment. So I don't see the budget retracting in that way. And so we have to plan for that. And one of the only ways that we can plan for that without increasing the burden on our residential tax base and putting an undue pressure, not just on everybody, but also on senior citizens, retirees, and so on, is to develop our commercial districts. And I think that this is a starting point. It's not the end, but I think that this is the appropriate way to get the ball rolling towards trying to address these concerns. So with that being said, I am going to support the plan tonight, but please don't think that I've not heard your concerns or that I'm ignoring your concerns. And I will be keeping all of them in mind as we move through the next steps of what Commissioner Hart indicated quite accurately is going to be a multi-year process.
Thank you, Commissioner Gonda. Further comments from my colleagues?
Madam President, I'd like to make a couple of comments. First of all, there's been an extraordinary effort to get the word out to residents, and while we can always do better, I want to acknowledge the scope of that effort and thank our township staff for all the work they've done on this plan. I also want to thank the residents who've been involved with this plan to provide their input, and it's helped the township get this plan right. As has been mentioned, it's been nearly 40 years since we updated this plan. In my view, it's well past time for us to take stock of where we are and set some shared goals for where we want to go. A large majority of the plan focuses on protecting the things that already make Haverford special. Our green spaces, our parks and rec programs, which are second to none, our historic resources, and our distinct welcoming neighborhoods, from Bon Air to Brentford and everywhere in between. There are no high-rises or big box stores in the works. As Commissioner Holmes rightly pointed out last week, 91% of our township tax base comes from residential property owners. We need additional business tax revenue to provide some relief for our property owners, and new business will draw new revenue into our township. We're not Lower Merion, and in many ways we have much more to offer when it comes to green space, history, and neighborhood charm. But we can follow their lead in one important way, by responsibly attracting new businesses and growing our commercial tax base. It helps to ease the burden on homeowners, and that includes retirees on fixed incomes and young families who are buying their first homes or who want to, maybe can't afford to do so right now. The challenge, of course, is doing that in a way that protects what we value the most, and that's what this plan is about. I also want to touch on zoning. It's been a big part of the discussion in the last 6 years and every public discussion that I've been part of. If we pass this plan, the next step will be to begin the very engagement process that we've been discussing and that speakers have brought up, residents have brought up. I would be very supportive of a major increase in that public engagement and education in this next phase so that we can bring in as many people as possible to be part of these discussions, even if we don't agree. This is a really important part of any change that we make, and I would ask the township to seriously consider making sure that this is a central part of the next phase to revise the township zoning ordinance if we pass this plan. So as an eternal optimist, I hope the recent surge over the last 2 weeks in interest in township planning means that we will see the same level of engagement when it comes time to write the actual ordinances and laws that will shape our future. That's where the real change happens, and the more voices we can bring in, the better the outcome will be for all of us. All of us in this room and everyone in the township want what's best for our township. I think we hurt ourselves when we rushed to tear things down without doing the harder and more meaningful work of building something new together. It is for these reasons tonight that I will be voting to approve the comprehensive plan, and I look forward to seeing this township continue to grow into its fullest potential and cherishing our history while also helping to shape what comes next. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cavender. Further comments from my colleagues before we vote?
I'll just briefly, I'm not going to reiterate everything my colleagues eloquently said, but I do feel we've talked about this long enough, and I certainly have talked about this for the entire time that I've been on the board of getting this comprehensive plan done. And I do want to thank all the township staff that were involved in many hours of crafting it. I want to thank volunteers on our planning commission and on our historical commission, our environmental action committee, all the people who had input along the way over the past 6 years. There was a lot of people who put a lot of work into this, and particularly I want to thank Dave Berman and Jamie Jelosian for all their hard work. It is a huge undertaking, and I think it's a terrific product. Overwhelmingly, we've heard from many residents about the plan for many months, some for the last couple weeks, and I think there is a central theme, whether it's pro or against it. Everybody who has commented comes at it from a place of they love living here, and they either they view the plan as an opportunity to improve what they love about the town, or they fear that the plan is going to change what they love about their town. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I understand all of those perspectives. I think all of us on this board also live in this town and love this town. And we want to see what is best. We're trying in all ways, not just through this plan, to continuously improve this town so that it continues to be a great place to live, it continues to be a great place to raise a family, and I'm hoping that that'll continue. I would just try to reiterate a couple different points. Eagle Road has been discussed at length. If you drive down Eagle Road, there's a number of properties that this currently have a business on the bottom and a couple of apartments or a couple of condos on top that already exists, and some of them are renters, and it exists. I would also point out Commissioner Hart is exactly right in talking to everyone in the third ward, whether absent for or against this plan. There are very few people who think that the way Eagle Road as currently consists, with traffic or with the light at Darby and Eagle, or with the inability to walk down the street, nobody's saying Eagle Road is awesome. And I think it's incumbent on us to take a situation like that the residents face and take steps to try to make things better. And this plan is a first step in that. It's a long time coming. But it's a step for something that needs to improve. I would just, to reiterate on what Commissioner Gondek and Commissioner Holmes and others have said over the years in terms of our budget, there is this perception out there that came out of the meeting last week that we're claiming that there's some financial crisis. We're not saying that. The township's in great shape. There are properties being bought in this township on a daily basis in the last 2 months that are being purchased for great values. And it's because people want to live here. It's because people like the services that they're getting, and they see our schools, they see our parks, and they want to move in. And I know sometimes for somebody, sometimes you don't see how great it is when we're here, but this is a very, very desirable place to live. And there are people who are banging down the doors to find an open property here. There's just not enough properties for the number of buyers that want to sell, and that increases all of our property values. And the reason for that is because of what a great place it is, and we're just trying to improve that. The point about the budget, though, is to mitigate, we're not saying we need this or we're not going to make payroll next week. We're not saying anything about our terrific staff, our police, anything. We're going to continue to provide those services. But there's only so many buckets that the revenue comes out of to pay those people. There's only so many buckets. So in an effort to mitigate what our property taxes are, the only other bucket really is commercial business tax, right? So that is an option to mitigate what we all pay for property taxes. And that's the reason why so often we talk about these ways to spruce up, to get as much as we possibly can from our business districts, because every dollar that a business pays in property taxes, one less dollar that a resident has to pay in property tax. That's just, it's just how this math works out. So we should all be encouraged to try to improve our businesses. As Commissioner Dondek says, and is in the plan, there's only 3% of this town in terms of land use that is commercial. So there's not like people have said to me, well, why can't we talk about some other business district? We have to talk about all of them. It's only 3% of our town. The rest is residential or open space. And I have repeated this For those who have watched any of the meetings over the last 2 years, we don't need to be Lower Merion in terms of what we get in business tax, but they collect $16.5 million in their 2025 budget in business privilege and mercantile taxes. We budgeted for 2.94. That is over a $13 million difference. And again, we don't need to get to 13 million to make our budget, but that's $13 million every year that they don't need to collect from their residents in property tax. Any additional dollar we get from business or mercantile tax is another dollar that we don't have to collect in property taxes and provide the same exact services. And that's why there's such a focus on that. As I said, I truly appreciate, and I've actually enjoyed some of the conversations I've had with residents over the last couple weeks about this. Certainly ones that have questions or doubts about the comprehensive plan. It's a great discussion. And the beauty is that we're both coming from a place that we love Havertown, and we want Haverford Township to be the best place it can be to live. And I think this plan sets us on the forward where more people are engaged and we can have more discussions about it. I've said many times that we need to vote on this. And certainly tonight, I'm happy to move forward and vote.
Thank you. Any further comments from my colleagues?
Yes, I have a few things to say. I think I've talked a lot tonight, more than I've ever talked, so why don't I talk more? But I think you all know how much I love this town. I think I'm a little too much, I get told by friends sometimes. But I would not ever do anything that would hurt this town. Before every vote I do, I think I stress about things more than I should. I think that's a good trait to have. I began to go to these meetings back in 2003, and I've been following these meetings since I was 4. And I've heard about a comprehensive plan every year, and every board has kicked the can down the road. And I think that this board has taken a huge step. And I don't think that a couple of weeks ago, the first real call I got about the comprehensive plan is, why are you trying to build a high rise on Eagle Road? I'm like, I'm not trying to build a high rise on Eagle Road. They're like, well, I heard this from this. I'm like, did you read the plan? And they said, no, I just heard that. So I think that that's a tough thing, is when fear goes around town. And I don't think that that's good to have. But and this is a plan. This is not anything that is concrete here. We could change this plan in the next week and say this plan was a bunch of malarkey, or whatever they say. I don't know what the cool word to say anymore is. But I get calls about everybody cutting through Eagle Road and on the side streets and stuff, and they're like, I don't want this to change a year from now. This is not going to change a year from now. In 1988, we passed a comprehensive plan, and every street still looks the same. Yes, there will be some tweaks here and there, but I do plan to vote for this, and I thank everybody for their emails. I thank everybody who took my calls today when I was stressing about things. So thank you all for your input on this. It means a lot. When people talk about mixed use, I owned a property up here, you might have known, but it was mixed use, and it's still mixed use, and it thrives today. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Quinn. Further comments from my colleagues? Hearing none, we'll now take a vote on a resolution number 2452-2025 as amended. Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondek.
Yes.
Commissioner Forsti-Grupp.
Yes.
Commissioner Cavender.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCollum.
No.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. Congratulations. We now move on to agenda item number 12, contract awards. I'll entertain a motion regarding a public works contract for traffic signal equipment at Minoa and Eagle Roads.
I got this.
Nobody give up on me. Come on, do it.
I move we approve a contract for the purchase and installation of traffic signal equipment in the amount of $11,664 to Charles A. Higgins and Sons.
Second.
Heard a motion and a second. The motion's now open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on this board? Hearing none, Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Cavender.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. I'll now entertain a motion regarding a contract for the Brookline Park Phase 2 grading project.
President Trombetta, motion to rescind the contract for the Brookline Park Phase 2 grading project previously awarded to Plymar Construction Company Incorporated, and to award the contract in the amount of $329,620 to Premier Concrete Incorporated of Broomall, Pennsylvania, having the lowest responsible bid.
Is there a second?
Second.
I've heard a motion and a second. The motion's now open for discussion. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on this board?
I do have a question on this one, or question, comment. So if I read the memorandum attached to this particular project correctly, we're going to be awarding the contract to basically the third cheapest bid. And my understanding, and I just want to make sure I understand this correctly, is basically the initial bid, or the winner, the cheapest bid, is not able to do it because they don't meet our responsible contractor ordinance. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I guess my question in this would be to either our township engineer or Mr. Berman, if he's aware, the Plymar Construction, who had the best bid but isn't able to satisfy the responsible contractor ordinance, do we know anything about them? Like, have you dealt business with them in the past? Or what's your opinion? Have you dealt with them in the past? I'll just leave it at that.
We have dealt with them in the past quite extensively. They do good work and everything. They submitted a bid, indicated they met the responsible contractor ordinance on the questionnaire. When asked to produce the evidence of that, they could not.
Okay.
So they did not meet the apprenticeship part of that.
Okay, I guess, so we're going to be spending $30,000 more on this project. That's just a concern of mine. I think that, in light of, this is, I think, the second time that this has popped up in the not too distant past. The other time, I think, was an even more substantial amount of money where we're paying more for, and bypassing what is probably a fine company. I guess, and I don't know the answer to this, and I'm throwing this out there. If I wanted to make a request for us to possibly review the threshold amounts, I'm not in any way asking to get rid of the responsible contractor ordinance or dilute what it says, other than if I wanted to make a request for us to review kind of the threshold limits for the ordinance, how do I go about doing that? Is there a specific committee I throw that to, Mr. Walko?
Well, that would require an ordinance change. It'd be a simple ordinance change because it would just be that number. So I guess it would start with the ordinance committee if that's the case.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments?
Mr. Gondik, I do appreciate that you're not interested in overturning it entirely, but I think it's important the public understand anytime we make the policy decisions here in the township that we're going to add some requirements to, our contractors or people that the township does business to on the margin. It is going to cost us money. It's part of the policy, part of the weighing that has to go into our decisions as to whether or not we're going to adopt a policy like this. So I certainly will, review, and am interested in your discussion about, or your thoughts about adjusting the thresholds. But I think the responsible contractor ordinance is very important and was an important statement of policy of this township. And clearly you aren't saying to the contrary, and I appreciate that. Thanks.
Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Berman, please take the roll.
Commissioner Gondik.
Yes.
Commissioner Forresty Grubb.
Yes.
Commissioner Cavender.
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
Commissioner Quinn.
Yes.
Commissioner Hart.
Yes.
Commissioner McCollum.
Yes.
Commissioner McCluskey.
Yes.
Commissioner Trombetta.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. So we'll now move on to continue with the citizens forum, providing an opportunity for members of the public who wish to address the board. I kindly ask that you stick to approximately 3 minutes to provide your comments or ask any questions you have. So with that, I'll start on the left-hand side. Mr. Lee.
My name is Michael Lee. I'm a Haverford Township resident. You know, one of my big concerns is public input. I think that's one of the big concerns people had about the comprehensive plan, the lack of it perceived by the community. But there's a thing about Walker Consultants doing a parking study, and there doesn't seem to be any public input in that. I'm wondering, it's in the back of our packet today. When I was looking at it, I was wondering why there isn't public input. It just seems to be just the township staff is involved. The parking is a really big issue for residents. And the other thing is the FHI studio, part of IMEG now. I saw their last December when you guys approved them for the zoning rewrite. I saw that they had a public participation thing. Is there a contract that we can look at? Because I think that we really need to make sure we have extensive input where people get information at, their questions get answered on this zoning. And that's what we did not have on the comprehensive plan. I think that was what could cause so much concern in the community about it. So anyway, will we be receiving the contract, and will we be getting extensive public input on that? They're my questions or concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Anybody else on the left-hand side wish to speak? Okay, on the right-hand side, anybody wish to speak? Yes, Ms. Burgo.
Thank you. I just want to say that I really appreciate, I know it took a long time, but I read the first draft of the comp plan and I thought it was really bad. And I really appreciate that you recognized its shortcomings and took the time to really get it right. And I just wanted to say that. I feel like it's just a good thing, and I'm hopeful for the way the township is growing. You know, all know that I'm a preservationist and I'm chair of the historical commission, and we like to say that we don't try to stop change, but we try to manage it. And I feel like this comp plan really does try to do that. And I'm not a great one for change. I like the township. I like the way it is. But I feel like it tries to really strike a good balance. And I just wanted to express my appreciation. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Burgo. Any further comments? Left hand, right hand. Very good. Thank you. Thanks to everyone who participated. At this time, I'd like to open the floor to my colleagues if they wish to respond to any of the remarks made. Mr. Berman, if you wouldn't mind providing a little more response about the parking study.
Yes, the parking study, as you see, there was a contract awarded this evening to complete the parking study, and there will be opportunities for public input on the parking study. There is a small advisory group that was established. There will be additional opportunities for public input as this process goes along. The rewrite of the zoning ordinance, that was one of the key things that we were looking for in the proposal, was opportunities for public input. We knew that was a key feature that the residents and the Board of Commissioners would be looking for. And so I think we had 2 or 3 proposals for that. And this one had, in my view, had the most robust public input segment of their proposal. So we were very happy with it, and that was one of the main reasons that they were recommended for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Berman. Any further questions or comments?
I'd like to add about the company that was selected to lead the consideration of how our plans should be rewritten. We not only chose them because they had a robust structure for engaging with citizens, they also talked about having neighborhood walkthroughs where neighbors could meet and walk with the consultant, representatives of the consultant company, walk through a neighborhood and describe what they love about that neighborhood and what they value about the neighborhood. We were also very impressed with the variety of ways that they did outreach to the community by having booths set up at major community events like the Kelly Music Festival that we had last Saturday, like, for example, Haverford Township Day. They had ways of engaging with the public. And they also talked about sending out mailing and doing social media outreach. And that we felt was really, really important as we go into this next really important phase to make sure that everyone knew what was being considered and had a chance to share their views. Because that is critical to the success of our community now and for the future.
Thank you, Commissioner Forster Grupp. Any further comments? We'll now move on to new business. Are there any matters that my colleagues would like to bring forward for discussion at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on to other business portion of our meeting during which commissioners may make their final remarks. We'll start with Commissioner Gondek.
Thank you. I'll keep it brief. We've already, it's getting late. Westgate Civic Association this past weekend was trying to have their neighborhood yard sale. Unfortunately, the weather did not cooperate very well. My understanding is that they're going to try to do it again on the 21st, on June 21st. However, what I would suggest is to check in on their Facebook page for any current updates. But last I heard, it was they were going for round 2 on June 21st. Other than that, the only thing I really have to say is congratulations to now Sergeant Ryan McGuire. Congratulations. I wish him the best in his new position. And I look forward to promoting a deputy chief in the not too distant future.
Thank you, Commissioner Gondek. Commissioner Forster Grupp.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming on a Monday evening to share their thoughts and views about the comprehensive plan and also parking restrictions on one particular road and all the other things that we consider at these Board of Commissioner meetings, because we are here to listen to you. Listen, pay attention, and make the best choices we can for the township. I'd like to thank everyone here on the board for their thoughts. I respect everyone's views, and I'm very grateful to be serving on this board. I'd like to give a little update on the library. The library did have their grand opening on May 22nd. And I asked the interim director of the library to provide some statistics for how many people visited the library during the first week of its opening. So between May 22nd and May 29th, the Haverford Township Library issued 340 new library cards. They checked out 6,854 items to 1,545 card holders. And they welcomed over 4,000 people to the beautiful new library. These stats are record-breaking in the history of the Delco library system. No other library has ever matched those weak statistics. So I would say that the Haverford Township community really loves their library. And I hope if you haven't been there, you get there. So thank you. And I wish everyone a happy and safe 4th of July.
Thank you, Commissioner Forster Grupp. Commissioner Cavender.
Thank you. I don't have a lot either, but I will say, Commissioner Forster Grupp, that my son and I were among the people who visited the library, I guess, the day after the grand opening. And it was such an amazing feeling to be there. I mean, it was filled with kids on that Friday afternoon, and all ages, from the smallest to all the way up to the teenagers, they were very possessive of the teen library area when I went in there, which is a good thing. Like, they want to be there. And I guess I didn't realize how much I sort of missed that community gathering place. And it was just, I could feel it in my bones being there, and it made me really happy and really proud to be part of Haverford Township. I guess the only other thing I would say is that there's a program at the Haverford School District. It's run by Haverford Educational Foundation. If you want to recognize someone at the school district, it can be a teacher or staff or administrator. They have a gift program that you can use to recognize someone who you want to appreciate at the end of the school year. So I just wanted to share that. Teachers always need an extra pat on the back, and I know we have some great ones in Haverford. So with that, I will turn it over to my colleague. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Holmes.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I want to thank everybody who came out tonight and came out last Monday and came to all the individual commissioner constituent meetings that we held, and all the public meetings and different public comment sessions we've had relating to this comprehensive plan. It has taken a long time, and I was questioned by somebody today who said, "Are you considering this tonight because you have comprehensive plan fatigue?" And that wasn't my driving force. My plan was to do something that I have said kind of for a long time that I've been on the board, and that was not to let the perfect be the enemy of the good, or in this case, the very good. This is a very good plan, and it's something that we need to implement. And once we implement it, we're able to kind of take the next steps that we could take as a township, outward facing to the business community and to the people in the township, to let them know that not that we're going to keep contemplating this, but that we're actually going to do it. And that was what drove me, and I think drove a lot of my colleagues to do this. But I want to thank most of the people who spoke at my constituent meeting, who spoke here, spoke last week, spoke in opposition to this plan. It does not mean that we didn't hear you. Everybody on this board is richer for having heard your comments and your thoughts, and I appreciate them, and I hope at no point have I or any of my colleagues given anyone the impression that we don't want to hear these comments, and instead the opposite is true. Earlier, a question was raised about the proclamation, and I feel it's very important to note this. I would have been happy to proclaim the 250th anniversary of the United States Army. I think anybody who serves does so honorably and does so for great altruistic and patriotic reasons. My own son is an officer in the Coast Guard, in the armed services. The U.S. Army in 250 years hasn't suffered from any history of political powerlessness, hasn't been unable to buy a cake from a baker or rent a hall because they want to have a gay wedding. Part of what we do in these proclamations is to let people know that Haverford Township thinks about those people who have suffered a history of political powerlessness, and let them know that they no longer are powerless. And it was unfortunate that the comparison was made to the Army, but I have to make this comparison right now so everybody's very clear on this. A very, very honorable person served in the Navy, and later, after his extraordinary work as a leader in San Francisco and then his martyrdom, had a ship named after him. Our current Secretary of Defense is renaming that ship because Harvey Milk was gay. Our current Secretary of Defense believes that gays in the military are part of a Marxist agenda to try to undermine our military. Sally Ride was the first female American astronaut in space. She lived the last 25 years of her life hiding from the world her wife, her life partner. Oliver Sipple, after serving honorably his country in the Marine Corps, saved the President of the United States from assassination. So right now, while we're talking about 250 years of the U.S. Army or all the U.S. Armed Forces, I just need to remind people that there are folks out there who still don't have the rights, don't have the same regard, aren't held in the same esteem as other people are in the United States. And while I'm here, I will use my ability and my persuasive powers with my colleagues to convince them to do proclamations, not about folks who've enjoyed 250 years of popularity and strength and open arms throughout the world, but for those folks who've suffered the exact opposite. So that's my response to the question about why not more substantive proclamations. I'll stand behind every substantive proclamation that I have supported here, and I'll continue to do so as long as I serve. I do wish everybody a happy July 4th. I will go through the exercise for the 20th straight year of giving up 100 votes just to award 3 ribbons at the bike decorating contest at Elwell. And if the 4th Ward will have me, I'd be happy to volunteer in the dunk tank. And that is all I have, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Holmes. Commissioner Quinn.
Yes, congratulations to Sergeant McGuire, as we said it earlier. I think that was great. And I wasn't too thrilled to certify the deputy chief list, because that means that we'll be saying goodbye. So I'm not really thrilled about that yet. But I just want to thank everybody who came to this meeting tonight, and I want to thank everybody for all their calls and everything over the past month and all that about the plan. And we all heard you all. So I just want you to know that. And this Friday is Flag Day. So if you have your flag around, make sure you flag that flag proud. And I want to wish everybody a happy July 4th. I know that Jerry will talk about 4th of July events in the 7th and 8th Ward. Okay, I'll let him do it. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Yeah, not to put him on the spot or anything, but
Take it away, Commissioner Hart.
Well, first I wanted to I'll thank the residents for all their input on the comprehensive plan, but I especially want to thank the township staff for all their work, especially Jamie Gelosian. Jamie took a comprehensive... Yes. Jamie took the initial plan that was a mess in many ways and really made it into something that I think we're all very proud of, and I really appreciate all your work on it. It made it easier to pass. It was wonderful. The Grange, July 4th at the Grange, usually they start at 9 o'clock. There usually are fire trucks. I have not gotten a word on it, but it will be July 4th at the Grange. This Wednesday, June 11th, is a very special race at the reserve. It's Ann's for Purpose, which is a fundraiser. It's a 5K race and a 1 mile walk, which is a fundraiser for PanCan, or pancreatic cancer research. The sun's going to be shining. I invite everybody to come out and participate. If you can't come out, you can also donate online. It's very special to my family, but also to many people in the Haverford Township community. So please try to come on out. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Hart. Commissioner McCollum.
Just a couple quick things. Again, just to echo what everybody else said, congratulations to Sergeant Ryan McGuire and his family. It was great to see the force come out in big numbers tonight to support him. Secondly, to all our graduates in Haverford Township, congratulations. And last but not least, happy Father's Day, little Father's Day out there at the township. One more thing, like everybody else said, I hope everybody has a safe and happy 4th of July.
Thank you, Commissioner McCollum. Vice President McCluskey.
Yeah, I'll be brief. Echo all the comments of my colleagues regarding appreciation, and just to state that Merwood Park will also have a July 4th event, and volunteers are always welcome. Everyone enjoy the start of summer.
Thank you, Vice President McCluskey. So before we adjourn tonight, I wanted to take a few minutes to reflect on what it means to serve as commissioner in Haverford Township. especially considering the conversations leading up to this evening. Having known the members of the board, I feel confident in saying that each of us serves in these roles not for recognition or compensation, certainly not for power or prestige. I don't think anybody really knows it too much when we go out in the community. But it's because we love this community. We live here. We raise our families here. We shop at the same stores, attend the same schools and events, and walk the same sidewalks. And we care deeply about the future of this township. Every single one of us who serves on this board does so with the intention of making Haverford Township the best it can be. We won't always agree on how we get there, and frankly, that's to be expected. But disagreement does not mean division. When we engage in tough conversations, when we listen to one another, when we acknowledge different perspectives, that's when our community becomes stronger and more resilient. I believe that's the spirit we must carry forward after tonight. The comprehensive plan adopted this evening is not the end of the conversation. As already mentioned, it's a framework, a starting point. It outlines a vision for our future, but how we realize that vision will depend on the continued work, voices, and engagement of our entire community. I also want to address those who may leave tonight feeling disappointed or frustrated with the outcome. I hear you. We all do. Civic engagement doesn't end with one vote or one meeting. It's a process. Your participation is part of what makes this township better. Please stay involved. Keep showing up. Sign up for the township newsletter. Keep asking questions. Keep holding us accountable. Let's remember that the vast majority of us, residents, commissioners, staff, business owners, are working with a shared place of care and commitment. We want a safe, welcoming, vibrant Haverford Township for our families, our neighbors, and future generations. That's the common ground we all stand on, even when we disagree. So thank you, truly, to everyone who came tonight, to those who are watching at home, to those who will watch tomorrow, to those who have written emails, attended meetings, asked hard questions, and shown up with ideas and passion. That's what makes this community thrive. So let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep working. Let's keep building a better future together. With that, are there any final comments from my colleagues on this board? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
So moved.
Meeting's adjourned.